name is and today me and my team will help to will present about the originate to distribute banking model should be bank. So first of all, we must understand that when the lender make loan with the intention of selling them to other institution and or investor is called the originate to distribute. So next we take a look at the overview of the originate to distribute model. Look at this process. We will understand why it makes the many conflict between the borrower, the arranger, and the originator. Uh, there are six major players in this model, and each of them possesses different key roles. The borrower, this process, this model from 2001 to 2004 makes the borrower who loans are sold in the secondary market underperform their P by about 9% per year, risk adjusted over the 3-year period following the initial sale of the loan. The ability of the transfer of credit risk to the OTD model encourages the origination of inferior quality loan by the bank. The OTD model affects bank attitude toward the risk from the risk aversion to risk-taking investment behavior. So, and for the rating agency, low quantities based on the available information. So it makes the conflict between the borrower and originator because the information between investor and credit rating agency has exposed investor to risk dishonest of the rating agency. Secondly, the originator and the agent conflict because the information because it's difficult for the arrangers to fulfill assess and understand the true risk behind the pool of mortgage loan. It's clearly that bank cannot so them understand the true risk of the loan that they originated. In this process, we know that subprime lender and willing to provide mortgage to subprime borrower as they can generate fee without bearing the risk of default through the OTD business model. Investment bank security subprime mortgage and sell it to pension fund and asset management. There are three big credit rating agency borrow about 80% of the market. So they make impact on on the customers. The customer just them then when they fail, it make the financial crisis threat out for the world. So next, we will present about shadow banking.
Shadow banking is one of the originate to distribute model. Shadow banking system refers to the financial intermediary involved in facilitating the creation of credit across the global financial system. But all members are not subject to regulatory oversight. The shadow banking system also refers to unregulated activity by regulated institutions. Example of intermediary not subject to regulation include hedge fund, unlisted derivative and other unlisted instruments. One example of unregulated activity by regulated institutions include credit default swap. This is how shadow banking works. Shadow banking is simply a firm that not regulate like a bank. It's more or less anything a bank does, partly lending, but it has other financial function, payment or investment banking in trading instrument. In almost every area bank do. They have new competitors who are regulated as banks, benefiting partly from technology and from the trouble banks are experiencing after crisis, and though institutions could be called shadow banking. You can define shadow banking much more narrowly, only one particular function of bank, and that is what is called credit creation. I take deposits that you are supposed to be able to pay back and turning them to loans which get repaid over time depending on your perspective. The shadow banking run the gamut form that very close mimicking of bank to more or less any similar business like to bank. Now I will show you why shadow banking breakdown. The shadow banking system has escaped regulation primarily because it does not accept traditional bank deposit. As a result, many of institutions and instruments have been able to deploy higher market rate and liquidity rate and do not have capital requirement commensurate with the risk. Subsequent to subprime meltdown in 2008, the activity of the shadow banking system came under increasing scrutiny and regulation. Moreover, shadow banking don't raise money at deposit. That is why shadow banking break down.
So to conclude our point of view, the OTD should be banned. Other part of the OTD model, shadow banking can be an efficient risk-share tool for financial institutions to diversify their portfolio. However, the conflict of interest between the different party and potential incentive problem had endured to original intention of the model. Furthermore, the financial contagion effect involving from the OTD model of lending contribute toward a significant proportion of the credit crisis in 2008. So thank you for listening.
Tâm ơi, cắt thành 2 clip được. Cắt được nhỉ?
morning, everyone. My name is Quỳnh, and our group has 3 members, including me, Vũ Hoàng Mỹ Linh, and Tâm. And our debate topic for today is the originate to distribute model of banking. And we strongly support the idea that this model of banking should be developed. Next slide, please. Okay. To start with, I'm gonna introduce you about the OTD model of banking. And first, in these figures, it illustrates the overall model of the overall originate to distribute model. As you can see from the figures, there are some main differences between the OTD model between the OTD model and the originate to hold model in the past. Well, in the past, banks received funds from depositors and make loans to borrowers. But nowadays, loans are bundled up together and cooperated and are distributed to various third parties. And the second difference is that banks do not hold loans in their balance sheet until maturities. And the third one is that the OTD models are mainly applied in the US and in the UK, which are the 2 of the biggest economies in the world and can have significant influence on the overall globally financial situation. And lastly, banks originate mortgages, then sell them off to be a part of securitization. And next slide, please. And from the key figures mentioned above, here are some advantages of the OTD model. The first one is that since financial innovation enables financial institutions to shift its investment behavior from the originate to hold to the originate to distribute model, the originator of a loan sells it to various third parties. Therefore, banks have flexibility to change their volume of mortgages. Therefore, they have the ability to optimal risk sharing. And since the diversification of banks' portfolio through the OTD model allows banks to reach optimal risk sharing, and therefore they can enhance the resilience to possible financial shock. And thirdly, because of the changes in the positions to off-balance sheet, they can reduce their regulatory capital requirements. And lastly, the borrowers from the OTD model can benefit from refinancing as an opportunity to cash out some of their equity value in their homes. And because time is limited, so we only focus on the most important figures of the OTD model, which is the securitization and CDOs. And now Lin will continue with securitization.
Next slide, please. So first of all, I'm gonna present the definition of securitization. So it is shown on the slide. And to be simplified, securitization is the process of taking an illiquid asset or group of assets and through financial engineering, transforming it or them into a security. A typical example of securitization is a mortgage-backed securities. This is a creation of Larry Fink at First Boston in 1983, and it is a type of asset-backed security that is secured by a collection of mortgages, and it became extremely common by the mid of 1990s. So the process creates liquidity by enabling smaller investors to purchase shares in a larger asset pool. in securitization, the company holding the loans, they are called loan originators. They gather the data on the assets it would like to remove from its associated balance sheets. And these assets are grouped together by the issuing agents and banks or banks. And then they are grouped together by the factors such as time remaining on the loan, level of the risk, or the amount of remaining principal, or others. And then after that, the issuers will create a reference portfolio and then sell it to credit market investors. And then so that they, yeah. These are the advantages of securitization. For the creditors, first, it reduces the amount of assigned debts in their balance sheets, and then it can also create additional liquidity which can be used to make new loans. And for the investors, they can get the higher rates of return, and these assets are backed by tangible goods. And for the portfolio diversification, they can be alternative investment vehicle. And to the marketplace, securitization helps to spread out the risk within the market. So the risk is no longer concentrated on the credit agencies. And then after the global financial crisis, the Financial Times on the 5th of April in 2016 posted a article that there was a comeback of mortgage-backed securities of 6.2 billion pounds. They were backed by more than 80,000 pre-crisis loans made by Northern Rock, a fifth bank in the UK. So after that, the loans were bought by Cerberus from the UK Treasury late 2015. So yeah, they were financed. And then after that, in July 2016, the Basel Committee posted a revised regulatory capital framework to.
Okay, thank you, Linh. Tom, and we will rush through the CDO. So CDO, which is stand for collateralized debt obligations, are defined as a financial product that pool the financial product that pool the generating assets and repackages these assets into discrete charges that could be sold to investor. And CDO is so called because the assets which such as mortgage and loan are generally the collateral of the CDO. And as you can see, the general CDO is divided into three into three tranches, which are super senior, mezzanine and equity tranches, and the most safe, the senior tranches is safer than the other chance because it was it have the priority when the priority on collateral in the event of risk default. And and next one is advantages. Here is 5 advantages of CDO. One is the first one I want to mention is catering to different investor groups. Market contains a lot of kind of investor, and CDO can serve CDO with the discrete tranches can serve each type of investor based on their strategy, financial strategy. And the second one is flexible renew because the typical mortgage maturity lasts for about 3 decades, and there will not be anyone, no one who want to own that mortgage with that long term maturity. So CDO can address this problem by decide the maturity based on each chances. And because the limitation of time, I will just I can just introduce you about 3 of my advantages. Thank you for listening.
How can this model prevent the moral hazard apart from basic interest?
Because the OTD models, the risks from banks are equally distributed to other institutions. So, since one bank is well run, like their operations are still normal, then they can prevent people from thinking that if one bank is still normally still normally operate, then the other banks won't be affected.
The OTD model will create CDO and subprime why it shouldn't be banned.
The subprime mortgages was created because of the moral hazard. Yeah, and so it was like in the history, in the financial crisis, the subprime mortgages were created by the greedy investors. Greedy people, so that they didn't concern the risk, the high risk of the mortgage. So to prevent this, they could be like more careful in the process of creating a CDO, like not subprime mortgages but prime mortgages. Yeah. So I have two questions for you. The first question is that we can, well, like nowadays, like every time from the past until now, privacy is considered as a very important feature. So the shadow banking helps to keep the private information of the customers. So if there aren't shadow banking, how could they both keep the private information and both have the interest rates, and yeah, how can they pursue their needs?
Now the normal bank you can pay free for private information, and they no need to shadow banking.
But nowadays, the OTD models, the banks that use OTD models, takes a huge part in the overall financial situations. So if you want to ban the OTD models, how will you replace this model? Like how will bank make money then?
Bank can raise the interest on the customer in normal loan, or they can make a loan, not selling them, make loan to other company or institution. And
But now financial innovations are so well developed. If you want to replace the whole system of the OTD model, then what will you do with the lack of the financial innovations?
not concerned about that.
Thank you very much.
I got a question for both teams. We all know about the power of Bitcoin, and the price of Bitcoin is about $11.5 thousand for one Bitcoin. And as Mr. Zhang said, the reason lead to great crisis in security. But Philippine government is considering Bitcoin as a security, and maybe it will lead to something bad or good in the future. So tell me your point of view.
In my point of in my team view, our answer is Bitcoin is not necessary for us, and because just take China for example. China now develop their fintech a lot, and they already have the technology of paying stuff just by checking our face through the probably through the their account, banking account, and so the function of the money, of the traditional cash, traditional money is still quite big and quite necessary. So I think, in my point of view, I don't support the idea of Bitcoin.
Answer from team.
Bitcoin market is a limited market. They will create another fake money like what coin. I mean, the Bitcoin cannot be a monopoly market. So they can create more than Bitcoin, and our cash still run very well in our market. So I think Bitcoin cannot be affect cannot make a huge effect on our daily life.